Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great spring break and a good staycation. Hope you're all staying inside and staying well during this pandemic. Today's our first day of remote learning, and hopefully we'll be back to school together on May 1st. But right now I'm going to read A Dog's Promise. We're on chapter 10. Burke seemed upset. I stared at him silently, rather intently, wanting to lick him or do assist or anything to make his bad feelings go away. "Oh, dear," Grandma said. "Were they cruel?" Burke shook his head. "No, it was worse. Everyone was so nice. They all wanted to sit with me at lunch, and everyone kept complimenting my chair. Like it's a Ferrari or something. I was invited to like 10 kids' houses after school, and they made a big point of telling me that of course I am welcome when there is a party. More than welcome." "What the heck does that even mean? More than welcome. You're either welcome or you're not." Grant laughed. "I think they were just trying to be friendly, dear," Grandma said. And Grant was right. Everyone sits on the steps out front. The cool kids are at the top, but even the complete dorks are out there like on the bottom steps. And then there's me, on the cement in front of the steps, like I'm my own category of dork. I'm not even human. "We don't do that kind of stuff in high school. It's so middle school," Grant noted. "Yeah, because I'm in middle school," Burke retorted. The next morning we took the same sort of car ride, Grandma sitting with me in the back. "You sure you have permission to take Cooper to school?" Grant asked Burke. "I didn't ask. You don't ask. They can't say no." Grant snorted. The wisdom of an 8th grader. "I worry about this, Burke," Grandma said. "Did you tell your father you're taking Cooper to school with you?" There was a long silence. I may have forgotten to mention it." Burke finally laughed. Grant laughed. This time I did get out of the car at the big building, but I barely had time to lift my leg before Burke asked me to do study. I was at his side as Grant drove away. Then we wheeled over to the stairs. When we arrived at the bottom step, Burke told me, "Study again." So I stood patiently as he slid out the chair, clutching my harness. "Assist!" he commanded. The children fell completely silent. I carefully picked my way upward, Burke at my side, everyone scooting over a little. "Nice doggy," a girl whispered. "Hey, Burke," a boy greeted. I smelled a lot of wonderful meats and cheeses on some of them, but focused on climbing. Soon we were at the top step. "Think somebody could get my wheelchair?" Burke asked. Several boys sprang up and ran down and grabbed Burke's chair and hauled it up. Then everyone was talking, and girls were petting me. Boys scratched me at the base of my tail, and I moaned in pleasure. "What's his name?" "Cooper." "Good dog, Cooper." "Hi, Cooper." Burke buried his face in my fur. "Thank you, Cooper," he whispered. "You make me feel like I'm normal." When a loud bell rang, everyone jumped up at once. I did. Steady, so Burke could climb into his chair. People were milling everywhere in the hallway, many of them reaching out to touch me. "Nice dog." I smelled other dogs on their hands. "His name's Cooper." "Good dog, Cooper." We found our way to a room full of tables and children. Burke had me do sit and stay next to his chair. A man about Grandma's age came over to talk to us, to admire what a good dog I was being. "So, does Principal Hawkins know about this?" the man asked as he petted my head. No, but she said whatever she could do to help." The man shrugged and smiled. "Fine by me. What kind of dog is he?" "We think maybe a Malamute and something else. Great Dane, maybe?" No wonder he's so big. It was strange to be at a table for so long without any food making an appearance. I could smell some ham in a boy's back. But when I'm on stay, I'm not allowed to investigate such things. Burke was happy, though. I knew that. I could tell by the way he was breathing and smiling down at me, the way his hand stroked my ears. Whatever I was doing, if it made him happy, I was willing to do it all day long. Eventually I circled and lay down with a yawn, but I jumped up when that bell rang and all the children leaped to their feet. We made our way through the throngs in the hallway to another room. Was this going to be our day? If this was school, it seemed pointless. In the new room there were no tables, just rows of chairs. Burke wheeled to the back of the room and told me to sit and stay. He looked up when a woman opened the door. She smelled like flowers. She was about Chase's dad's age, and her long, light hair was curly. "Burke," the woman said. Yeah, Miss Hawkins?" She held up a finger and wiggled it to me. "Come with me to my office, please." I I sensed a lot of tension from the children as I followed Burke out the door. The woman's legs made a rubbing sound as she walked next to us. We passed through a big room with people sitting at desks and then entered a smaller room in the back. She closed the door. There were chairs, but no tables and no children. I could smell no food. School was going from bad to worse. The woman sat down. When she tapped her fingers on her knee, I could smell an animal. Not a dog, but not a goat either. It was the unseen animal I detected at Ava's building. I hoped the mystery creature would make an appearance and I'd finally get to meet it. Why are you provoking an incident, Burke? I looked at him when she said his name. He was frowning. I'm not. You brought a dog into my school. The way she said dog sounded like the word bad was in front of it. I nosed Burke's hand. He's my service dog. He helps me with my chair. I was told you could propel yourself without help. Well, yeah, propel, but the school has been outfitted to accommodate your chair. I even gave permission for the ramp to be moved so you wouldn't have to wheel through the kitchen in the morning. Your dog is disruptive. It's all anyone is talking about, and he's huge. I would hate to think what would happen if he bit one of our students. Oh, Cooper would never bite anyone. I glanced up at my name. I could feel Burke getting angry. So you say, I can't take the risk. Burke folded his arms. There is no risk. That's not for you to determine. So wait. You don't have the right to kick my dog out. She scowled. I have every right, young man. Do not talk back to me. There was a long silence. I yawned, feeling tense. The woman's shoulders relaxed a little, her posture softening. Look, I understand you have been homeschooled the past several years, and I promise I will do everything in my power to see that you get caught up with the other students, but that requires that you follow the rules. This isn't what you're accustomed to. This is an institution. I don't need to be caught up. I take the same tests everyone else. I always get an A, but I need my dog with me. The answer is no. Burke took in a deep, trembling breath. Cooper stays with me. I wagged just a little at my name. The woman stood up. Then I will call your parents and tell them to come pick you up. Burke shook his head, his lips twisting in an odd, cold smile. What do you think, you guys? What's your opinion? We have Miss Allie at school. Well, not my parents, my dad, he corrected flatly. My mom left because I was born crippled and she couldn't deal with it. There was another long silence. The woman opened her mouth and closed it. You can wait in front of the office. She opened the door and Burke and I went through it. Now we were in the bigger room. I wagged at the people sitting at desks and they smiled at me. Burke wheeled over to a place by some windows where we could see children flood in the hallway when a bell rang. He watched them silently. Several of them stuck their heads in the open door and said things like, Hi, Cooper, and Hi, Burke. I wagged at all of them. A girl came in, and I knew her instantly. Lacey's person. Hi, Burke, remember me? Wenling? Her name was Wenling. Yes, she smiled. When I sniffed her frantically, her skin and clothes were redolent with my Lacey. She sat in a chair. Why are you here in the office? I'm getting kicked out. She clapped a hand to her mouth. Of school? Seriously? I guess there's a no dog rule, whether he eats my homework or not. She ran her hand down my side, and I licked it in gratitude. That can't be cool. Isn't there like a law or something? I'm pretty sure a service dog is allowed everywhere. Everywhere but middle school, I guess. A large boy poked his head in the doorway. Hey, Burke. Hi. Grant. Right, Grant Carr. I looked around in bewilderment. Grant? The boy tapped his hand on the door frame. So I was thinking, you should maybe come down to the gym after school, first day football practice. The boy made a throwing motion, and I looked quickly, but didn't see anything land. Football? Burke repeated. Yeah. What position could I play? The boy stood still. I just meant, hang out with the team, not. The boy looked at me, then at Burke. We were thinking maybe more like equipment manager or something. Or cheerleader, Wang suggested. Burke laughed. Actually, I'm busy, but thanks, Grant. I looked at Burke when he repeated Grant's name. The other boy knocked his knuckles on the door. Okay, then. Maybe we'll hang later. He turned and left. Burke sighed. I know, Wenling said. When I first came here, everyone wanted to be friends with a Chinese girl. And you know what? They serve me when I'm invited to their house for dinner. Still, Chinese food. Every single time. Perk laughed. I wagged at the happy sound. Do you even like Chinese food? I like my mom's Chinese food. The girl stood up. I have to get to class. Did you get in trouble for shooting the drone? I guess not. Animal control came out. I was more interested in my dad than in Cooper. First the drone, then you bring a vicious animal to school. You're like a family of outlaws. My brother Grant is picking me up after school so he can rob the bank. Be sure to take Cooper. See you later, outlaw. She left and then Grandma walked in. I was very excited to see her. She told me I was a good dog, then sat in the chair Wendling had been occupying. What happened, Burke? Miss Hawkins pulled me out of class. She says I can't have Cooper because I am capable of independent propulsion. Also, I'm stupid because I'm homeschooled. Grandma's face tightened. Your reading and math are both at college levels. I don't think she wants to hear about that. The woman with the foreign animal smells opened her door, and she and Grandma touched hands. Then they went into the smaller room and shut the door. I wagged because I didn't know what else to do. Burke moved his chair back and forth, and he picked up some papers off a small table and looked down at them and set them down, and picked them up and set them down, and he petted me, and then he set them down again. Hey, Cooper, good dog, he murmured. Sometimes people will tell you you're a good dog, but forget to back it up with treats. In the end, though, hearing good dog always makes me happy. Grandma left the office, and she and Burke didn't speak until we were in the car. I sat in the back seat. When the doors were closed, Grandma touched the wheel and dropped her hands. Grandma? She turned to look at Burke. Oh, Burke, Principal Hawkins told me what you said about Patty. About your mother. Burke lowered his head and stared at his lap. Please look at me, honey. Burke raised, sighed. Your mother didn't leave because of you. It's complicated. She's a different sort of person than the rest of us. She missed the city. She talked about wanting to walk to shops and restaurants. This wasn't the life she wanted. Burke made a soft, sad sound. You weren't there, Grandma. You didn't see her when she said she would pick her. When she said let me start over. You didn't see her when she said we could pick her or Dad. When I started to talk, she knew I was going to pick her, and she, dreaded it. You mustn't tell yourself that, Burke. He looked away, and I nosed his hand to remind him we were happy just moments ago. Grandma pursed her lips, and then Patty moved overseas and got married, and her husband, from what I understand, is a controlling jerk. Burke drew back in surprise. I glanced out the car window. Squirrel? Grandma laughed softly. I know my language, but that's how I feel. The last time I spoke to Patty, she told me he wouldn't let her have any contact with you. She shook her head, staring out the window. You okay, Grandma? Am I okay? Me? Oh, Burke. You've got the warmest heart in the world. Later we sat in the car and ate out of deliciously fragrant papers. Burke fed me cheese, which I could still taste even after we returned to the farm. When Grant showed up, I wondered if he knew how many people had been talking about him all day. He crawled on his knees, waving that stupid nylon bone in front of my nose until I just had to take it from him. I snuck around behind a chair and spat it out. Chase's dad's boots smelled of dirt and insects. I carefully inspected them while he talked to Grandma and Grant and Burke in the kitchen. Then I realized that they were in the kitchen. I hustled in to see if any food was about to make an appearance. Well, that's it then, Chase was saying. You have to go to school, Burke. Miss Hawkins has a point. The school's wheelchair accessible. Grandma was at the stove, and I was smelling something meaty in the air. So I went over to sit and be a good dog next to her. But she's wrong, Dad. I looked it up. If I say I need a private service animal, she's not allowed to say otherwise, Burke replied. For you to get kicked out in 2 days, that's got to be a new record, Grant laughed. Grant, Grandma chided. Show me what you found out, Chase's dad requested. There was a long silence as Chase's dad leaned over Burke's shoulder and stared at him on the table. I kept my focus on Grandma. I didn't know what she was making, but I smelled butter, and I'll eat anything with butter on it. Okay, but Burke, it's one thing to read a law. It's another to get someone to obey it. I'm sure she's got rules on her side, Chase's dad finally said. I remember Miss Hawkins from when she coached basketball. She's as tough as they come. You always say we should stand up for what's right, Dad. This is what's right. When Cooper's with me, I'm not the guy in the wheelchair. I'm the guy with the big dog. I can climb up the stairs and sit with my friends. It makes all the difference. Chase's dad shook his head. You're being dramatic, son. My boy wordlessly turned away from his table, and I followed him as he rolled into his bedroom. Later, I was lying on Burke's bed while he sat in a chair. I lifted my head when the door eased open. Chase's dad was standing there, his expression serious. Burke, I'm going to drive you to school tomorrow. I'll go in and talk to Miss Hawkins about Cooper myself, okay? Maybe I can get her, to listen to reason. Thanks, Dad. Chase's dad petted my head and left. I sighed, remembering the cheese. Okay, well, that's the end of chapter 10. Chapter 11 tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day of remote learning. Make sure that you take attendance, and the way you take attendance is on Seesaw. When you're done with this video, just click like, and that'll give me attendance for the day. You have to check in every day by noon, and don't forget I'll have office hours posted. So if you need something, help with math or language arts or something, have your parents or you go on my Zoom. Link will be in Seesaw. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.